Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today I'm back. You probably didn't even notice because of the algorithms, but last week I didn't post any videos. I think it's the first time since I started my channel 4 years ago that I didn't post any videos in a week. Nothing major, but I hurt my foot a couple weeks ago, and I tried to do some videos where I was like lying down, but the camera's so close on the thing, it's really hard to show the comics, so I ended up not doing any videos last week. It's feeling a little bit better, but for today, we're going to ease back into things with just a short video about an individual issue, and that is an Archie comic key that I think is really underrated, goes under the radar, undervalued. And frankly, I don't think will ever have any value because nobody really cares about the Archie characters the way that they should. But here it is. It's from 1962. It's Archie's Pal Jughead number 84. Now, I happen to have a pretty nice, clean, flat, nice copy of this, and the cover has nothing to do with the reason that this is a key issue, because this is the first appearance of Ethel Muggs, aka Big Ethel, although they don't generally call her Big Ethel much anymore. Yeah, so for those of you who are familiar with Archie Comics, and that includes almost everybody in America, Big Ethel is, of course, the girl at school. She's tall, she's skinny, and she's really into Jughead. And so starting with this issue, she becomes a major recurring character, not just in Jughead, but throughout the Archie universe. And for the first 20 or 30 years, maybe, of her existence, she was fairly one note, where she mostly was there as a foil for Jughead. Jughead famously being the woman hater, and now he's got this woman who originally, for the first, again, like 30 years or so, was drawn as being conventionally unattractive. That was supposed to be part of the joke. And so she would chase him around and was always trying to get him to go out with her and be her boyfriend, etc., etc. Now, eventually they sort of moved away from that and broadened the character out. She became sort of close friends with Betty and appeared a lot in Betty's comic as a supporting character, as well as in Jughead's comic. She started to get other interests outside of Jughead, and basically became like the cool character. That's probably after a lot of you stopped reading Archie stuff, but in like the late 90s, especially in the aughts, she got a little bit of a makeover where they stopped drawing her quite as much as like a caricature and more just sort of like a tall girl. But she was like into alternate like rock music and science fiction and all sorts of like all the cool stuff, you know. And she and Jughead sort of didn't really start dating, but became sort of friends more. Um, she's also been important in pretty much all of the media, the various adaptations. You know, in the Bollywood movie they just did, of course, Ethel's one of the supporting characters there. She has the notable role in Riverdale, and pretty much anywhere you're going to see the Archie characters, you're going to have some version of Ethel. Um, but 3 or 4 years ago, she finally, after 60 years, got her own comic series. Now it was short, and it was originally online. It was like a digital comic, but I believe they eventually collected that into physical edition. I think they also put out some books, like some prose books that were about Ethel. Um, so Ethel's still connecting to new generations in different ways than she did originally. Now, is she one of the main Archie characters? No, she's not what Archie fans would call the Big Five, which is Archie, Jughead, Betty, Veronica, and Reggie. Those five people and their relationships are the core group. But she is sort of at that second tier where we have characters like Dilton, Moose, and Midge, Ethel, and then later you got Chuck and Nancy and Cheryl. Now, of course, one thing that's odd is that like Cheryl gets sort of all of the attention. And she did have her solo series. She was more of a breakout star than the other secondary characters that I mentioned. But, Cheryl's first appearance from like 1982, 20 years later, goes for hundreds of dollars. I got a copy like 8 or 9 years ago now. Well, maybe more like 6 years ago now, where the cover had a huge rip and it was almost completely torn off, all up the spine. And I sold that for $50, even with the cover almost completely detached. And so that's like a huge thing. But here we have this, again, a nice solid mid-grade copy from 1962. And when I got this, again, a few years ago now, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I paid a whopping $25 for it. So it is broken out a little bit compared to like the issues around it, issue 83 or 85 maybe, but it's like very minor in terms of the collectability. Like the big issue of Jughead from this period is actually just a cover where they happen to have the creature from the Black Lagoon on it, and that sort of actually blocked my run. That's my run starts with the issue after that, because I don't want to pay $300 for a random issue of Jughead that happens to have the creature from the Black Lagoon on the cover, because who cares? And yet at the same time, you have like this like important building block issue that introduces an important character who is like fundamental to not just an important character in her own right, but fundamental to anyone who's a Jughead fan or collecting Jughead. And again, $25 for a nice, solid mid-grade copy of this. I've talked about Archie keys before and how books that I consider keys and that traditionally would be considered keys, like first appearances of these major characters, or concepts like the band, the Archies, are basically have no particular value, and it's strange. I mean, it can be hard to even figure out. Like people haven't even bothered to figure out the first appearance of Chuck is actually you look online, you're going to see several different issues cited, and almost all of them are wrong. So like it's a particular area of interest for me, obviously, as a huge Archie fan. But for those who are looking out there, check around, keep your eyes out for Jughead 84. I suppose I'd be remiss if I didn't show you. Here she is in her first appearance in a storyline. It's the last little short story in this issue, and it's basically Dilton's created a dating computer, cutting edge for 1962, and it predicts that Jughead would be Ethel's perfect mate. And so Ethel gets in her head that if Dilton's computer says that's the case, it must be the case. And that's actually the genesis for her pursuit of Jughead. So keep an eye out for this key first appearance of one of the major Archie gang characters that you can get very cheap. Jughead number 84. That's it for this time. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing next time. I do want to get back to showing off the Doctor Strange issues. I've got I still have a number of episodes of my podcast actually that I haven't uploaded, so we'll be seeing some of those, some in-depth discussions coming up for those who haven't listened to them already, of Cap's Kooky Quartet, Avengers 16 to 28. I've got another one that's about the beginning of the team-up era in Brave and the Bold. There was an era of about 25 issues of Brave and the Bold from when it started being a team-up to when it became exclusively a Batman team-up. So there's all these weird team-ups in that era where it's just sort of a random team-up book. I'll be posting some in-depth discussions of that run as well. So if you're into the Silver Age, I've got some treats for you there. And then we'll see what else. So that's it for this time. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time.